Right, Garth and I have decided that we're going to be making a water feature right from scratch. We want to use it as our main focal point, walking through that garden, right under the trees. The sound of water, oh Garth, I mean,
nice.
It's awesome. You got a koi pond?
Yes, I have, Tanya. There's lovely sound with the water running all the time.
Folks, this is how we're going to do it. It really is simple. We've got a bucket of river sand here. We've got some black plastic, and we're just going to take that and empty it onto the black plastic. Now, what's important with this is that we're going to be using a leaf to create the actual water feature. So this is the part where you can imagine the water is going to bubble up through into this leaf that we've made and then over into the sump. So first thing is to get the shape of your river sand, most importantly. Now, this is not going to be just a feature that will be lying flat, so we want it to be quite mounded, because obviously as we put the leaf on here, it's going to take that shape. And we want the leaf to come out being almost V-shape so that the water can bubble up, collect in it, and then spill over the edges. So we've got this gorgeous gunnera leaf. Now we want something that is almost round. So go walking around in your garden and find something that's going to do that job. Take your gunnera leaf and pop it on top. And that should do it. If you find like at this end where it's almost touching black plastic, then just take a bit more, add a bit more to it so you can roll it round. Right, leaf is in place. Now all we got to do is go and get our concrete mixture ready. For our measurement, because our leaf is not that big, we're using half a builder's bucket of fine river sand and half a builder's bucket of PPC cement. Pretty simple mixture, anybody can do it. There we go, let's give that a start. Garth, how's that looking?
Beautiful, Tanya, already.
You don't want this to be too runny a mixture, else it's going to run right off the leaf, and that is not going to work. Right, first up, folks, just to recap, remember that for these, you are putting the leaf, the top side down. The underside must be facing the top. Importantly, this is the first step. Get a pair of secateurs, and I want you to cut off the stem. There we go. Get that stem off. And now, we want to join these leaves and get them as close to each other as possible because we're wanting this to form a bowl. So join them together just like that. Right, Garth, have you got them there?
Yep, I've got it.
Right, and bang, on he goes. Because as you do that, so it's going to keep the leaf that you've joined just in the right place. You want to go for about 2 centimeters. 1.5 will be fine. Bang it on your first layer, and then the next most important thing that you've got to put in is this little guy over here. Now just explain how you got to this, Garth.
Tanya, this is just a 50 ml copper pipe that we use on a household water line, you know. And all we're going to do is find where the water's going to collect the most. So I reckon about over here.
So that's about the center of your leaf.
Yeah.
Not the center of the leaf, in other words, where the stem comes out, but the center of your leaf as you're looking at it. So I think about there, Garth.
Yep.
I reckon. Okay, you hold it there.
All right.
Okay.
Tanya,
And then you're going to push them through there.
I'll just cut through the leaf.
You just push them through gently.
And
that's it. Because that is now going to form basically the funnel for where the water will push up through. You'll attach your pump to that, push through right into it, and then bubbling out through it. Much easier to do it now because then you have to save all the drilling and everything else. So make sure he's gone right through the leaf into your river sand. And now we just take our next bit of mixture and pop it round. Once those 2 technical bits are over with, all we're going to do is carry on and filling out the rest of the leaf, covering it, making sure we get nicely to the edge of the margins. All right, next step is to get a bit of wire, 8-gauge wire. This is what we've got here. Can be a bit thinner depending on the size of your leaf. And this is going to be the reinforcing. And all we're going to do is bend it to the shape of the leaf that we've got because we're going down at an angle. And you're just going to pop these in and just push them gently into your mixture. Just like that. They can cross over, long as it's just getting to these end bits here, because that is where you're needing that strength. Okay, last one going in. The only thing that you've got to be careful of, folks, here is don't push this guy down too deep, because you don't want it coming through the other side of the leaf. So when you take your mold off, you've got a nice piece of wire sticking out. It's just going to be glorious. So now that this guy's in place, we can carry on with putting our second layer on, which is going to also be about 1.5 centimeters thick. Rightio, Garth, that looks great.
Yep.
Okay, most importantly, how are you going to check if you've got this right? Well, first of all, you don't want to see any of the wires that you've put in. Check 1. Check 2, is this straight? Yes, and is it still in position? Check 2. Very good. Step 3, is your concrete coming all the way down to where the edge of your leaf is? And is it not too thin there? That's important, must be at least 1.5 centimeters thick. To finish it off, all we got to do, Garth, you're going to use the block brush, eh?
Yes, I am.
And Garth's just going to take that and gently swish it over it, give it a nice texture. Now we leave it to dry, and then we can reveal it. Alrighty, folks, here's one of our guys that we made earlier. We've just got this connection, because remember, we've got this pipe at the bottom. If you put it down, you're probably going to push it and break it. So put it on there. There we go. It'll rest nicely. Beautiful. And now the fun part, Garth. You start on that side. And now all you do is start peeling your leaf off. Woohoo! Oh man. And you know, the longer you leave it, the easier it is actually to pull the leaf off. Perfect.
Yep.
Now there are bits of the veins that are still left stuck inside here because we didn't leave the leaf to dry out for many, many days. So what's the tip? When you're making it, rather leave it outside, turn it over, leave it out in the full blazing sun. This leaf will basically curl up and be much easier to remove. Right, folks, we've made the water feature, which is the major structural part of it. Now we need to put the sump in to show you how to put this thing together. I've chosen this spot of the garden, beautiful under the forest, gorgeous soil that we're going to be using. And the first thing that we need to do is make sure that you've got a fiberglass sump from your local garden centre. And the first thing we need to do is decide where it's going to go. So, Garth, I think, yeah, turn it upside down. Yeah, I'm happy with this baby about here. Okay, first up, we need to mark it. Take a bit of river sand so you know where you're digging, and you're just going to make a little line all the way around. Pop this guy off. Now all we're going to do, dig the soil out, keep it one side because it's really good soil and we want to use that again in the garden. Garth, we're nearly done here.
Nearly done, Tanya.
And I think we should be deep enough.
Yes.
Next up, we're going to take a bucket of river sand, put that into the bottom. That's the one. That's just going to make it much easier in order to get your levels. Garth, let's spread that out there. All right, let's see how we're doing, Garth. I'm going to pop this guy in. Beautiful. Get our spirit level, pop it across the top, and let's check our levels. Remember, always go across both ends. Right, next up, now that we've got our pond in place, perfectly level, in order to keep it where it is so it doesn't move around, we're going to take some of the soil that we removed and we're just going to backfill in to make sure it's nice and secure. Take the edge of your spade, the back of your spade, and you can just firm it down gently. Now, at this point, you're so excited about getting this guy in that all you want to do is put the water feature in. Alas, stop die bus. Now what you want to do is get your planting done. Because if you have to put this all together, I guarantee you that when you're busy working, somebody might bump it, something might happen, you're going to get a whole lot of soil inside here when you put the water in, and it's going to make one holy mess. So at this point, cover what you've got with some black plastic. Just black garbage bins will work, and then we can get to the planting, and finally we assemble our water feature. First up, we're going to be putting in the Micaiah Bella. Now, if you take a look down here, look at all this gorgeous, gorgeous mulch. I mean, this has been here for years and years, and we do not want to rake this up. This is what good gardens are made of. So we're not raking this at all. We're going to be planting in between, leave this natural mulch layer here because it clearly is A1 and that's what we want. Okay, that should do it, folks. Right, even although we've got really good compost in here, good soil, the natural mulch, please do not neglect to still put in your bone meal or your superphosphate, and of course, a good 1 or 2 spadefuls of compost that you bought from your local garden centre. Remember, folks, when you're digging a hole, the size of your hole should be at least double the depth of the plant that you're about to plant and double the width of the plant that you're going to be planting. In goes that baby. Fill it up with this gorgeous, gorgeous soil. Oh man, a great plant to have around the garden is this guy. And you can see I'm just using it as a filler here. I've dug some out of another place in the garden and we're literally just gonna pop them in here to form a nice little cluster. It's called the wild iris dietes. It's great. It can grow in the shade, it can grow in the full sun. Every time it starts flowering, I guarantee you, rain is on the way. Most of the planting is done. We've just left a little space there where Garth is sitting, so he's got a little place to maneuver in. Now it's time to start assembling our water feature. We're going to carefully remove the black plastic that we had around it. Next step in putting our water feature together is we've made a kind of a contraption. And Garth, I'll let you explain that.
Okay, this is just a normal drain cover and a bit of PVC pipe, 110mm pipe.
Right, that little guy's in place. You can see how nicely it'll work for when we put the pipe in. I think, Garth, let's put the pipe in now. There we go, bit of clear tubing. Feed it through here. And out it comes over there. This, we've got our pump set up already. And that will attach perfectly onto there and it can just lie on the side. Here's our beautiful leaf. Remember we had the copper pipe and that was there all for a reason. Put the clear piping onto the bottom of it.
So the pull me over.
And right, Garth, you happy there?
Yes, Tanya.
Leaf is in place. Let's fill it up with water. All right, the pond is filled up almost to the top. We've got a few more bits to do. Little trick that we've got up our sleeve because we don't want to see the workings of the PVC piping down there. So what we've done is we've taken a bit of black plastic, wrapped it round. It's an age-old trick that people use in water features. Either that or you can paint it with a black bitumen seal paint, which will then be perfect and it won't start peeling off. Now to hide the bottom of it, we've got some cool black stones, black pebbles. We're just going to layer them at the bottom to hide that last bit. Now that the pebble's in place, Garth, the moment of truth.
Yes, Tanya.
Turn this baby on. Doesn't it look gorgeous? Who wouldn't want this in their garden? I am so thrilled. Garth and I have done, if I might say so myself, a fabulous job. It looks gorgeous. To finish it off, we got some slate. You can get this from your local hardware store. Used to be called Slasto. Any bits you can get. This is an old tile, in fact, from a roof that we had lying around. Broken it up into bits, popped it around the edge of the water feature just to cover off the edge of that fiberglass lip, which we don't really want to see. We've layered it full of mulch, the leaves that were originally here, because that is what this forest needs, and that's what every good garden needs, is loads and loads of mulch.